All right, you guys, welcome to my next video. Today we have my brother Mike. Last time we did Jeff and Sam, and so now we're going to talk with my brother Mike. He is the middle child of the five of us. And Mike, why don't you say a couple words about yourself?
Um, I don't know what to say other than I love to write, and I grew up in Oregon, which was absolute playground. We moved around the Western United States a lot, and every house we went to, I always went into the attic to search for any kind of comics or coins that might be up in the attic. Though I don't know if that is good enough.
That works. That works. Okay, so as you know, with my last couple videos, with Jeff, we talked about basketball. With Sam, we talked about just our favorite albums, kind of like an all-encompassing favorite albums. With Mike, I thought we would go with um, metal albums because Mike's the one that actually turned me on to metal. And once I started, I never looked back. Although I love all the different genres, I love all kinds of music, but metal is absolutely fantastic, and there is some amazing stuff. Um, but before we start with our list, why don't you tell us? Now, you'll notice I'm looking this way and this way. If I'm looking right at you, this is how it looks on my screen. And so if I'm looking down, that's why. It's like
Yeah, and
I'm
I'm
looking
looking
at
at
you.
my list too.
Yeah, it's a pain. But so why don't we start with you just giving us a little recap of the last few years? I know you've been kind of on a lot of places, a different stuff, different jobs. So you want to just tell us what's going on with you.
Last couple years, I've developed what is known as a widowmaker in my second ventricle, which they fixed. I've had some repercussions from it, but the doctors are amazing. They have healing hands, and for the first time in 5 weeks, I am feeling really good today.
And
The
now
last two
what's
years has
funny
been.
is how long did you have that?
I walked on that for probably 7 or 8 months, not knowing
Which
what it was.
so
It took me
really
40. It took me 45 minutes to get to the bus stop every morning to go to work, and it's a tops 11-minute walk.
so really you're lucky to be here.
The head doctor came up and saw me after surgery 2 times and told me how lucky I am to be alive. It was a 99% block and 2 stents were put in.
Nice. Well, that's amazing. So now I don't know how much of your job, your current job that you can talk about, but why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you do?
I'm an animal caretaker up at the University of Utah, and I take care of mice. And when Samantha leaves for vacation, I get her rats, and they're clever little buggers. I love my job. Um, I feed them. They're traumatized by some of the experiments, and we treat them like little kings and queens. But every time I hum a same tune or whistle the same tune to them. And when I come into the room and I start whistling, they'll come up to the cage, they'll beg for food.
Nice.
So my job is amazing, actually. And I've worked there about a year and a half. This July 16th will be 2 years.
All right. All right. And then so you're working with the mice. Now, anybody that knows you and the people that watch this will probably be people that know that you've been working on your own gaming system for years and years. And so you had a really big update on that. Why don't you go ahead and share that?
I'm in the 40th year now, and I am actually completed it. It's done. It's a fantasy role play game, much like Dungeons and Dragons, which that system got me into the role play, into the fun. Great world. It's fake. It's not real, but it's fun. I meet a lot of people this way.
And then you have a website that they can go to look at that.
Yeah, on skeletondragon.com.
skeletondragon.com, and I'll put a link in the description there as well.
Thanks for the mention.
Okay, so what I decided with this, we're talking about metal music because you started me off with the harder rock and the metal, and I just kind of took off, and then I found groups that I introduced to you, and it was just awesome. So what we're going to do is a top five list. Now, this isn't like our absolute favorites. This is just more like influential albums or maybe groups, whatever you want to do. But just your your five memorable moments, like with metal, what they brought, what they showed you, what they meant to you at the time, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay. So this list, again, just like with my other list, it's not my all-time favorites, but it is. It's weird. It's just if I were to list albums like as this is my all-time favorite album, this is my all-time favorite this, that would be so hard to do.
Yeah.
That would
You
be
can't, you really can't do that.
because there's so much good stuff out there.
Well, and also it depends on what you're going through in life and the memories and music is a big catalyst for memories. And
Oh yeah.
sometimes you want a different genre, not genre, but different album.
Oh, big time. Big time. So we're gonna start with number five. So we're gonna work our way up.
Okay.
So why don't you go first?
Okay. I'm going to say that, I introduced you to Ronnie James Dio when I got home.
Oh yeah.
Um, the that album was actually introduced to me on my mission, and I hated it. I did not like it. And Elder Waite was my companion, and he was a metalhead. And he's like, "You don't like this?" And I'm like, "Not really," because it was too hard for me. And then, he listened to a couple songs, and then they turned it off respectfully. And the next day, I was like, "Hey, can you play that album again?" And he put the cassette tape in, and we played it, and I got hooked, absolutely hooked on this. So it has a lot. Ron James Dio reminds me of my mission a lot,
Now, which
and all
album
the
was that?
what's that? Oh, it was. Oh my gosh, Holy Diver.
Good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. One of my favorite songs that Dio sings is "Don't Talk to Strangers." That's probably one of the number one, and then of course you've got Rainbow in the Dark and
Oh
Holy
yeah.
Diver and Invisible. Invisible's pretty good too.
No, that's good stuff. Now that album reminds me of when we first started playing Guardians.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
big time, big time.
I think
Um,
that's why I still listen to him.
oh yeah, and amazing voice, just amazing music. I agree.
Yeah.
Um, so my number five is a group called Our Tension. Now, Our Tension I found because one of my favorite piano players is Vitaly Kupri, and he is oh, he's dead now, unfortunately. He passed. But one of the most amazing piano players I have ever heard in my life. And what he did is he formed a group, which is funny, a classical pianist, one of the most renowned, forms a metal group. And
Oh wow.
just absolutely love his playing. But I also love this group. It's called Our Tension, and New Discovery is the album. Um,
I'm gonna have to check that out. I never heard of him.
Yeah, and New Discovery is the song I love off that album. But that album or that group is just amazing. It has John West, which I'll get to later, from Earthmaker.
I love John West.
Yeah, he's the lead singer of Our Tension.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, I got to get it.
and that was Vitaly Cooper. He was the one that turned me on to that because I absolutely love his piano playing. Absolutely love it. Um, so that's my number five.
Nice. Very good. Now
Number four.
I'm gonna have to listen to it or it's gonna haunt me.
Oh yeah, number
All right.
four.
Number four. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go with Blue Oyster Cult, Revolution by Night.
Amazing album. I was thinking about adding that to my list. I was like,
I
yeah, it's
was
just so
wondering
much
too.
good stuff. So
Yeah,
much good stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Any particular song on that you like?
Take Me Away. Shadow of California, Feel the Thunder. Take Me Away is my favorite song. They've absolute favorite.
Yeah.
When I remember standing out on Hebert Road, 63 Hebert Road in California, and just looking out over those endless strawberry fields and listening to my headset, and it was at night and the stars were out, and Take Me Away came on, and I played it like 10 times in a row, and
It's
it took me away.
that is a great album. I
It's a
love that one.
genius.
Yeah, I was debating that one. So I'm glad you put that in there. Um,
Nice.
so for my number four, back to the lead singer of Our Attention, John West, Earthmaker. Soul to Soul being my favorite song of that. It's a slower song. Um, but absolutely love that album, that entire album. And it's so cool because I listened to Our Tension, and then you listen to the John West album, and it's just this continuation. And it was in a time, a more downtime mentally for me. And that music really carried me through. It
Nice.
was, and I loved it. And so I ended up getting every Our Tension album and every John West album.
When
And
did you learn of our tension?
I think I was just looking up um, piano players, and I found Vitaly Kupri, and I watched him play, and I was in absolute awe of his abilities. If you can look it up, look up Waterfall, look up anything he does live, he sounds just as good in a recording.
Oh, wow.
It's just he is one of the best pianists that has ever lived. I mean, period.
Nice.
And so that led me to looking up that group. But absolutely, absolutely love it. Okay, number three.
Um, this is really hard. I'm just gonna go with Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time.
Okay.
Stranger in a Strange Land. It reminds me of playing Guardians. Big group around the table, 72-hour marathons type of thing. They all
Oh
brought their
yeah.
pillows, and we used to do that every year, once a year, the 72-hour one, and that I was playing the whole time. And it's a genius. This guy, I forget his name.
Don't
Man,
worry, I'll get to it. That's my number
okay,
three.
okay. Oh, is it okay? So that's my number two.
Okay, that's your number three.
Oh, number three. Are we there
Yeah,
yet?
yeah. No,
Oh,
that
okay.
is
I
your
didn't
number
realize
three.
the cult. You're right.
And my number three is Bruce Dickinson, Accent of Birth. I love that album and Taking the Queen. And the reason I love Taking the Queen is because that inspired my story that I'm trying to write. Have a hard time writing now,
I
but
am so waiting to read
but
that.
yeah, that song inspired a piece of that story. And
Uh, it's inspired me as well.
where I was wondering where to go with it, um, it filled in a gap that was huge. And I based an entire segment of that story around that song, with my own interpretations, obviously. But Bruce Dickinson is just absolutely amazing.
He is.
I love all his albums. The what's it called? Tears of the Dragon. I love that song.
That's my favorite song. Taking the Queen and Tears of the Dragon are my favorite two songs he does.
Just amazing, amazing stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're number two.
Okay, so my number two, uh, this is really hard. I'm going to say Dokken Under Lock and Key. Um, that album just takes me away, just like Blue Oyster Cult does.
So,
Um,
what song in particular?
Lightning Strikes Again,
Yeah.
and then I have to mention two other. It's Not Love and Till the Living End.
Okay.
Um, Probably my three favorite songs off that album. The whole album's great though.
So, what is that? What memories are associated with that?
On Buchanan, we used to play Guardians there too. This is
Mm.
all going back to getting together with the guys and having some fun all day long, you know?
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
All right. My number two, Sabotage, Streets, a Rock Opera. I love that album. That album has my all-time favorite Sabotage song on it, If I Go Away. But that whole album is just so intense. I love the album. It's not my favorite Sabotage album, but it is an album that has as much meaning as any album as far as Sabotage goes, and also has my favorite Sabotage song on it. But it reminds me a lot of Provo.
okay,
Listen to that a ton in Provo.
nice,
And so not the greatest of memories and stuff, but the music was great.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that's my number
I'm
two.
surprised you didn't say Dungeons Are Calling or Sirens.
And and that's the cool thing is when we first got introduced to Sabotage, that was through my cousin Bob. through our cousin Bob. And
Yep. Yep.
we went up to visit. This was in, what was it, 1986, I believe. And he introduced us to Sirens and the Dungeons Are Calling.
And Master of Puppets.
Yeah, well, he introduced us to a lot of good stuff, but particularly, Sabotage here. He introduced us to them, and man, they became my favorite metal group. One of my favorite groups of all time. They became my favorite metal group until my number one came around. But but yeah, I mean, yeah, Bob, we owe you for that. Sabotage is amazing. They are coming out with a new album. Uh, John Oliva, that's how he pronounces his last name. I always pronounced it Oliva because I didn't
Yeah,
know.
I didn't
Then I
know that.
watched videos of him and it's Oliva. They're coming out with a new album. Now, and John is a mastermind. I absolutely admire that guy from a musician standpoint, you know, now that's the thing with artists, with sports players, anything, you appreciate their skills. That's as far as you want to take it. But just an absolute mastermind. I put him in the class of a Prince type. He can just play any instrument. He writes the music, writes the songs. He is just amazing. One of my idols when it comes to music. And they are putting out another album. They got the old group together. Zach Stevens is back with them,
Wow.
and I'm looking forward to that. It'll probably be their last album. I mean, I don't know how he's not dead yet, but but yeah, but he suffered an injury. The album already would have been going. Suffered an injury in a car wreck
Oh,
and broke his back, and so he's had to go through surgeries and stuff,
jeez.
and he's about to go through another surgery. Is the latest I heard on that. So the album should be out next year. And
Okay, I've got to get that.
yeah, I'm hoping it's a good one because it'll most likely, even he says this, it'll most likely be the last Sabotage album they ever do.
Uh,
So, I mean, those guys are getting old. you know.
as Van Halen sung, "Aware of all the good times gone."
Exactly. So that's my number four or number two. So
Very nice. I
okay,
did not know that. Thank you for
now
telling me that.
now before we get to number one, just throw out a couple of honorable mentions that you can think of.
Oh, shoot.
I know
Uh,
that there's so many. It's like, okay, just a couple. Like, who came to mind that you wanted to put on the list, but then thought, no, I want these guys first.
okay, I really do not follow Disturbed at all. I've tried to listen to their stuff because he did a Phil Collins remake, and I forget the song. I always forget the name of that song.
Land of Confusion.
Yes, Land of Confusion. And apparently, they did a contract where the lead singer of Disturbed, who has the most fantastic voice I've ever heard, his keys and the highs and lows, he hits them all. It's spot on. But he did Land of Confusion, and he stuck with it. And I was hooked. And then I was like, well, I'm going to listen to a couple other of his things, and I just turned it off. I was like, nah, that's not my John. That's not my no.
I have to say I do not like his version of Land of Confusion.
Really, it's
I,
intense.
if you listen to the Genesis version, it's so much better. I mean,
Well, I have the Genesis version, and then I have his version. So when I listen to it, I'll
yeah,
listen to Phil Collins first, and then that one. But yeah, I wanted to say that one. Although I'm not, I'm not at all. I don't follow that band,
yeah.
but his voice. I was just
Um,
focusing on his voice. You know,
what
throw away the negatives. He's his voice is amazing.
it is? What was the latest remake he did? What was the song? So the song was Land of Confusion, not Land of Confusion. What is it called?
Sound of Silence.
Sound of Silence.
Oh yeah,
And he does a fantastic job on that song. I have to admit, I do actually like that song better than the original.
Everybody does.
But the Land of Confusion one, I thought he did a horrible job on. I mean, it's not that
really,
good.
really, I'm sold on
Yeah.
it. That's crazy.
No, everybody was raving about it. I was in pool class and they're like, oh, you got to listen to this. And I'm like, let me play you the original because you've
Well, yeah,
obviously never
yeah.
heard it.
But you know what? You got to give credit to him because he picked that song, so he likes Phil Collins as well.
Oh yeah, no, I like that guy actually. I've seen a few of his concerts and watched a couple songs that were live, and
Yeah,
he's actually really cool.
he blends with his crowd too.
Well, there was the story of a kid that was in the front row that was scared. He could visibly see the kid was like unsure about everybody. And we're talking a young kid.
Yeah.
And it was with his father, but the kid was very uncomfortable. And he stopped the concert. He
Hmm.
stopped the concert and went down and talked to the kid and explained, hey, we're all just here to have a good time. Everybody's friends here. You got nothing to worry about, buddy.
Yep.
And the kid
I
was
saw
like,
that actually.
yeah, it was great.
I bet you he made a fan out of him
Yeah,
permanently.
I thought that was pretty classy. That was pretty classy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. So Disturbed, one more.
I have to cut in and say I went to the Breaking Benjamin concert up here on Thanksgiving Point with Spencer,
Mhm.
and he did the same thing with the kid. And he put him up on those boxes with the railings and let him stay on stage the entire time. The kid was like, oh gosh, like 9 or 10 years old,
That's
and
cool.
he just absolutely catered to this kid, and I
Yeah,
love that.
that is cool. That's how you create some memories for people, man. That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Hmm.
Okay, one more special mention.
Honorable mention. Okay, Ozzy, Metallica, and Megadeth. That
All right.
um, Ozzy, Castles Are Burning. He's got some other good ones too. Uh, Devil's Daughter. That one is amazing. Metallica just has, you're asking me to say names and all that. I just listen to the music and I don't. Metallica has so many good songs that bring
Oh
back
yeah.
memories as well. And then of course Megadeth has a ton of songs that I absolutely love.
No, I became a Megadeth fan, again because of Bob. Thank you, Bob. Um, you
Yes, thanks,
know,
Bob.
and no, the Megadeth, I love the Cryptic Writings album and
Uh,
Risk. I think those are my two favorite albums.
yeah, yeah.
And I know they're not a lot of people's favorites. I mean, Euthanasia was a great one. Um,
That was my favorite one.
I mean, he does some good stuff, some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the
Oh,
earlier stuff is a little weird, but
with Metallica, the thing that should not be. That's what I was gonna.
now I was gonna actually use Metallica in my honorable mentions, but since you did, I'm not. Um, so what I will say for honorable mention, there is. Hold on, let me get my list back up here. There is a statement that I made a long time ago. Um, when I found Symphony X, I searched all the band members and found their individual albums, and I really liked them. The lead singer, Russell Allen, I love his voice,
Oh,
and I
yes.
love how he sings all sorts of things. He's touring with Trans-Siberian Orchestra,
Wow.
and he does a lot of slower songs and stuff. And then he has videos of him singing old pop songs. He did Hot for Teacher.
Really?
And he did a great job. The guy just is talent.
I suppose that's on YouTube.
It
I'm gonna have
is,
to put that. I'm gonna have to
yeah,
check that out.
his voice is just amazing. I love that guy. The piano player for Symphony X, Michael Pinella, I believe his name is. Um, I love his music. I have let's see, I have one of his albums, and they're good. And then there's the lead singer, John Romeo, I believe his name is. I think that's his name. But he's got a few solo albums, and I've got those, and they're good and stuff. But when you, I compare it to a chocolate chip cookie, a really good one. If you eat the ingredients separately, some of them are good. Like, you eat the chocolate chips separately. You're like, yeah, those are good, but it gets old. You eat the sugar separately, you can taste it, and it's good, and that kind of stuff. But when you combine them all, it becomes amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
It's like
But
sour cream, you know, you don't just eat spoonfuls of sour cream, but you stick that
exactly,
on a chimichanga and man, oh,
exactly.
I agree. That's a catalyst effect.
But so that's my honorable mentions, each of those guys individually, because they made some good stuff.
Yeah,
I love the Allen Land, the one with Russ Allen and what's his name, Land. I forgot his name. But The Battle. I love that album. So that's a definite honorable mention.
nice.
Absolutely love it. And then John Oliva's solo albums. I love those. John Oliva's Pain. I love that stuff. The
Nice.
Pain albums he wrote after his brother was killed in the car wreck, and it was his aggression and his way of letting off steam.
Have you ever noticed that when people have the hardest time in their life, they're the most creative?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. You know, that's it's tough, and then that was a tough situation because Chris was such an amazing guitarist.
Yeah.
I've read articles about him. They were comparing him to the all-time greats. And that was a big loss for metal music. But okay, so we're off to number one.
I'm going to mention one more honorable mention, if you don't mind.
Go
Def
for it.
Leppard,
Okay,
Pyromania.
Albuquerque.
Yep. Yep.
That's
Totally reminds me of Albuquerque, 1983. Yep.
when I see that album or hear anything from it, I automatically am taken to Albuquerque.
Yep. Yep. I
Yeah.
have the full album. I listen to it a lot. They have like so many good songs. Def Leppard. I was hooked on them when I heard that
Oh yeah,
song.
good
Uh,
stuff. Good stuff. And what's
yeah.
amazing is that drummer, he's still drumming with one arm.
Really.
Yeah.
I
The one
love,
that,
I love how the group kept him, put
oh
him
yeah.
under his wing and kept him in the group. That is loyalty.
Oh, it is. And he's still drumming. That is just amazing.
That's cool.
So, all
That's really
right.
cool.
So you're number one,
My number one that I'm going to mention, and it's not my favorite, like you said, we're just picking
right?
some albums, is Fate's Warning, Awaken the Guardian.
I have totally forgotten about that. That is a great album.
Yeah, my favorite song on there was Exodus.
Hmm.
And then there was Fata Morgana.
Yeah.
Um, I just that album, I would have loved to sit down with that band at a table for a 72-hour marathon Guardians, and I guarantee you they'd get into it.
Now I'm gonna have to listen to that album after we're done.
It's
I
it's
haven't
like
heard that for so long.
the guy's voice is like the guy from Rush, very unique, very different. There's nobody that sings like this guy from Fate's Warning.
Yeah.
He's got a voice that what is it? It's an acquired taste.
Yeah. Okay. So that was your number one.
Yeah.
That's a good number one.
Although
Okay.
although my very favorite metal album of all time is all of Symphony X.
Well, my number one album for this list is Symphony X Underworld.
There you go.
Um,
That's my
with
favorite one they've done. Odyssey
with
too.
Underworld as the song that I like off of it. I mean, I love that entire album. That
Yeah.
entire album. I have listened to that so much. I have a banner on my wall of that album.
Oh,
It's
nice. Yeah.
like on my wall here, I have Symphony X, Avantasia, Sarah Brightman, Sabotage, ELO. You know, it's just I have all sorts of stuff, and
Sam mentioned in the video that you did with him how he would wear albums out
yeah,
with the needle on the record player. Um, if it was possible, I would have wore out the MP3 on those.
yeah. Oh, that Symphony X is absolutely amazing, but
Do you
that
have a
song,
favorite song?
oh my gosh, that's a hard one. Probably the Odyssey.
Okay, the Odyssey's amazing.
That is
Wicked. Wicked is the ones for me.
what is it, 19-minute song,
Yeah.
and it never gets old as well. I love that album, and that is it's so hard to even say I have a favorite Symphony X album because I love Odyssey.
Do you realize
But
they took the forefront on the longest song and also over okay, Iron Maiden, Rime of the Ancient Mariner
Mhm.
was blow me away. But when the Odyssey came up, it dwarfed it.
Oh yeah,
To me,
yeah,
it absolutely dwarfed it.
yeah. The Odyssey is just so amazing. A funny story about the Odyssey. So when Jen's kids were younger, and I went over to visit, they were all acting up, and so I kind of put them all in timeout against a wall, and I just said everybody just gets to stand there. Now you have your choice. You can listen to two songs. You can choose between the two of them. You can listen to the Golden Rule, is a terrific tool to help you decide what to do. Um, and they hate that song. Um, or you can listen to Symphony X, The Odyssey. It's your choice. And they all chose The Odyssey. I said, okay, you have to sit here until the song's over. And I played it. It's a 19-minute song.
Wow.
It was awesome. It was fun. But no, that Symphony X is just, they are my favorite group. I mean, of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my favorite album of all time is Yellow Time.
Right.
No, but my favorite group is Symphony X. Uh,
I amen to that. Absolutely. Yep. I agree.
I just,
Yep.
they are so amazing. And like I said, it's that putting those ingredients of the chocolate chip cookie together and just making this delicious thing. You're just like, this is so good. And you can't get enough of it. And their new album will be coming out, I believe, next year. So they've already been in writing, they've already been recording.
Yeah.
So their new album will be out next year, I think. They've been doing a lot of touring. They're very popular. They have gotten a lot more popular. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
But it was hard for me not to put anything Metallica in here because I love Metallica.
Yeah.
I mean, name an album that Metallica did that's bad. You can't.
I don't even know.
You can't. I mean, their newer stuff is kind of, um, but Master of Puppets. There's nothing better than that album. I mean, it's just so good.
That's an
I don't,
album that'll go down in legend as one of the greatest of all time.
oh yeah, yeah. I love that. Ride the Lightning, another one that's just amazing.
Ride
Yeah,
the Lightning was amazing.
yeah. It's hard to narrow down, you know, all these groups. There's just so many good. And the metal genre for me, it's just I love it because yeah, it pulls out emotion, pulls out um, excitement. It just pulls everything out of the air and intertwines it into this awesome melodic mess that just is so structured.
Yep.
People, I laugh at people that say, oh, metal, it's just so gross and, it's out of control and stuff. Metal is probably the most controlled music I have ever listened to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And you're not talking about the grunge metal, you're
oh,
talking
no,
about the real
no.
singers.
I don't like the grunge metal. I don't like the, what's called death metal, the black
Yeah, I don't
metal.
either.
But you listen to somebody like Symphony X or Sabotage, even Metallica, just you can go
Do you
down
know
the list,
why?
the
It's
list that we
because they're
did.
purists.
Yeah, and her music is just so good,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
Agreed.
it's weird because you hear like we grew up, with anything harder than you know Elvis, and mom was like, that's horrible, and you know but I still love that old music. I still love, the stuff that, I grew up listening to, like the video with Sam. We talked about, old music from the
Yeah. Yeah.
70s. I mean, Neil Diamond. I absolutely love Neil Diamond,
Yep.
you know, and so it's like, but metal is just another genre that is just fascinating to me.
Neil Diamond reminds me kind of of Frank Sinatra. Very, very prestigious. His voice is takes
Oh,
me out of this world.
Neil Diamond is amazing. and he's still kicking, I think.
Really?
Last I heard, I think he's doing an album. But
Nice.
I watched a video of him, and now he just kind of tries to sing. It's like, you know, but you gotta love him. You
But
gotta
his heart's still into it. You got to
give him
respect
credit
that.
for going.
It's like a master in martial arts. When they get 85 years old, they can teach you to be lethal, but they're not like that anymore.
Yeah,
But they can teach. And this guy, it sounds like he's the teacher, you know?
yeah.
They become the teachers.
There
And
you
they
go.
have to be respected because that's the way it is.
Chuck Norris was doing lessons the day before he died. So
Wow.
so they
Yep.
were in Hawaii, and I guess he
Wow.
was, doing some lessons and stuff. But
That's so cool.
yeah, Chuck Norris, he's bad.
Honorable mention for Chuck Norris. I worked out with the guy who worked out with him,
Yeah,
David Arrigo.
nice.
Yep.
Well, I worked out with a guy that worked out with a guy that might have known somebody that knew him from a long time
Dude,
ago,
that's so awesome. It's
or
so
or,
true.
or read a book about him or something.
I believe you.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, any other words of encouragement or words for the
Um,
people out there? They all, three or four of them that are going to watch this.
yeah, once in a while, relax and listen to some CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. They're not metal,
Absolutely.
but they that's my favorite band of all time.
Yeah. You got to be looking out your back door, man.
That's right.
Do, looking
Well,
out
this is
my
awesome.
back door.
Uh-huh. And now I'm gonna have to put it on.
Heck yeah. I was thinking the same thing. But I think first I'll go listen to Face Warning. Okay. Any other words for the
No,
final?
thanks for having me on.
All right. So this is Bren, my brother Mike. And so now I've done all three brothers. So I'm the baby of the brothers. So Sally's our sister. She's the oldest. And then all the brothers, it goes Sam, Jeff, Mike, or sorry, Sam, Mike, Jeff, then me. So Mike's the middle child. So he's right. It's not, he's the middle finger child.
No, I call it the Oreo stuffing
I call it the middle finger child.
because it's the sweetest when it gets compressed.
All right. So hey, be sure and give me a like down there and make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff. And like I said, I'm hoping someday, it won't be for a while, but someday I'll get a video like this with Sally. So, you know, hoping that I can do that someday. We'll see. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good
Thank
one.
you for having me. Appreciate you.